All right, so let's do what we normally do whenever we get to the idea of trying to figure out something that we're doing or something new or something unique. We go to our best friend, Google.com. And what we can notice here is that it's a great website that lets us know all of the little things that we want to know. But beyond that, thank you, Google Overlords, we could do something simple, such as type in what is controversy. All right, we got a disagreement. Typically, when prolonged, public, and heated. I don't know if that's going to be super helpful for our speech topic idea. So let's just look at some contemporary instances of how controversies are used, and maybe that could actually point us in the right direction. Porn warning labels bill becomes Utah law. All right, whatever. We're out of this. Let's look at my notes instead. So a controversy is rooted in Latin controversis, which just means turned into an opposite direction. So let's break this word down for a second and then come up with a little brief mission for each and every one of you to do. Contro means to go against. That means you need to be in opposition. There needs to be an against for something to be controversial in the first place. So if, for instance, I look at you and say that you're all great students, well, we know that is going to be a true statement. There's not going to be opposition in the world where we all come to that form of agreement or disagreement together. So we have the same sentiments, we have the same attitudinal beliefs there. So it's not going to be controversial to say these things. If, for instance, I said college athletes should be paid, and I'm making my speech to college athletes, guess what? They're all going to agree with that statement. That is not persuading something new. We need to find an area or a kind of item that allows for a unique take in a situation to really persuade people to think otherwise. Persuasion is inherently hard because most people assume they know how the world works and have their own form of rational thinking on these deliberations. And so it's of the utmost importance that we kind of get a good kind of way in which we can find the opposition and figure out how to manage it so that we can bring out new ideas, new kind of trains of thought, new logics to be built into those areas. And so we need to remember our audience members. We need to think strategically, so think back to the day in which we did audience analysis and figure out kind of what you want to hear. So, but what that means for your speech, you're going to be giving, your audience is going to be me, and I am going to be a blank slate for the process of grading you and hearing your speeches, but I'm really just kind of talking about controversy because you're going to give speeches or you're going to give prompts one day or you're going to really want to make an impact on a room at some point in your life. You have to remember that you have to be able to kind of finesse some opposition in a way that is both politeful and also in a way that's very insightful, that really allows people to hear different opinions and beliefs. And so we'll look at this idea of verses. It comes from vertere, which also just means to turn. And so when you normally try to turn people's beliefs, they might be kind of hard against it. So we have to also kind of make a bunch of polite suggestions, or even at the get-go, say you're going into a big meeting with people that want to talk about fiscal economics and rebounding the economy, and you want to give a speech on why we should go green, or why we should care more about climate change or climate action. You might have to start figuring out to yourself, if we're going to make the unpersuasive claim, which is maybe we need to get rid of some of our economic benefits for long-term environmental sustainability, maybe we got to figure out how to do that turn delicately so that we're able to say, hey, there's going to be benefits to the things you're looking for, or at least or at least come to the kind of agreement that we will disagree, but there are generative and good kind of rational or great deliberative reasons for making the kind of intellectual shifts that we were thinking about in the kind of like the first place. And so the example I give in the kind of notes that I have jotted down is like Star Wars can be seen for a metaphor for United States foreign diplomacy as kind of like the modes of the empire. Is kind of like one of the seeds in which you could talk to a bunch of nerds on a topic that they might not want to hear about, or I would love to hear a whole speech on Star Wars. But you can make the persuasive claim that, hey, maybe we are the Empire all along, and maybe that's not a good thing, and maybe we shouldn't do those kind of things. And so my goal for all of you, at least for this weekend, and please by Monday, is come up with a controversy idea and email it to me, and we can just kind of talk about all of the ways we can approach this topic for our persuasive speeches. I will be always available, and if you ever need me, just send out an email. And I think at next week, I do plan on making some time available where I'm just going to hop online or Zoom or Google Hangouts and just sit there. And if anyone wants to come in and just talk to me, we're just going to have an open office in the sense that I will be in a place where you can turn on a camera or turn on a microphone and just talk to me. And I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I hope all things are going in your way. I hope you're in a great space, or at least a safe space where you're able to hang out with family, hang out with friends, hang out with somebody, and I know it's important for us to continually do things like social distance, but make sure you're also talking to other people and getting the like requisite amount of sleep, and really taking care of yourselves, because that is the number one priority, because at the end of the day, things will go away and get better eventually, and we're going to need to make sure that we're good to go for that transition post the COVID-19 area of life in and of itself. All right. Hope y'all are having a wonderful weekend. Miss you. Bye.